Hey folks, this is Mark Kelly with Inbound Revenue. I'm going to talk to you a little bit today about the processes that we go through when we build out a campaign. We build out campaigns primarily Google Ads campaigns for our clients, primarily for our white label agency clients, but we also have some direct clients. We go through pretty much the same process every time. So I just wanted to walk you through some of that. Lots of times when I'm on sales calls with people, I'll say we're very process driven. And I wanted you to actually see some of the processes that we use. We use a product called Smartsheet for our project management tool. We've used other ones. I've used other ones in working for other agencies, working in the IT field. I'm very comfortable with Smartsheet because it has both lots of interactivity that you can build into it, alerts and dependencies and things like that. Lots of intelligence in the software, but it also is very familiar because it's built in a spreadsheet-like fashion. So this is one of our standard launch sheets for a new campaign, and I'm going to walk you through what we do as part of a launch for a new Google Ads campaign. You see that we have these tasks set up, and they're prioritized, assigned to someone with a due date, with an estimated amount of time applied to them. When they're completed by whomever is assigned to that task, there's a completion date, and then we record the actual time that was assigned to it. Now, since we do flat rate work most of the time, 98% of the time, this actual time is for internal tracking to see, if we're meeting our goals and how much time we're spending on something. Make sure that we align our processes with the actual time, align our costs with the actual time spent on an activity. And then when it's completed, we just check it. And that way, all these tasks roll up onto our team members' task list. So they can go in, they pull their own task list. Once they've marked something as completed, it no longer shows up on their task list. It also no longer shows up on our project manager's open task list. So she'll pull up a list of tasks that are coming due soon, or past due. And then she can, of course, reach out to folks and determine what the issues are there. So it's got a robust reporting capability as well. But let me walk through the steps that we take on a campaign launch. So you see the first thing we have is our project manager setup. And when you see a plus here in Smartsheet, you can click that, and then there's going to be associated subtasks with that. We typically only check things off at the master task level, not the subtask level. But you see in here, the project manager has the task to assign all tasks to the account manager. There's always an account manager on every account that we manage, on every client that we manage, and what we call experts, what you might call subject matter experts, or just the Google Ads guys. And then her next task is create a marketing notes document that will then be attached to this Smartsheet. So we use Google Sheets, Google Sheets and Google Docs for along with Smartsheet for every project. So we'll keep human notes in the marketing notes document that's attached to this document, and that way all they have to do is pull them up. Everyone drops some notes in there as they go along, and that way you've got not only a history of what happened, but a readable history. We record the most important things that happened there, and then create the document, attach that document to the correct sheet, and then create the Slack channel and invite the client into it. We use Slack for communication. So if the client's a first-time client with us, they want to communicate via Slack, we'll create a Slack channel and invite the client into it. Some clients choose to communicate via email, and occasionally, email and conference calls. So the very next step, that's all just sort of internal housekeeping. The very first steps of the campaign build are to the keyword research and ad copy. Okay, our big keyword research. So we build the keyword research and submit it on the Slack channel or via email to the client for approval. I should note that when I say for approval, what I really mean is review. If the client hasn't responded back to us in, typically in 24 hours of the time we send the keyword research, then we're going to go ahead and move forward with the build, unless they've specifically said we need to give you approval. We have what we call internally a bias for action. So rather than wait on things, we submit them, we give you the opportunity to look at it. If you choose to take advantage of that opportunity, that's great. If you don't choose to take advantage of that opportunity, we're going to go ahead with the build. It rarely costs us rework because most of the time the clients are cool with it, or they're very minor changes, because we do this a lot. But that in another video, I'll show you the keyword research in the launch spreadsheet that we use for that and submit and share with the client. So then we'll build out ad copy as well. And what we do is we build out sample ad copy. We build out sample extensions, all the language that we would use. And we do that so that we can convey to the client or to the agency, the type of language that we're going to use, the type of promises and offers that we're going to put in the ad copy. They can look at that. Now, we create single keyword ad groups most often, so we may have 50 ads in a campaign, so that's just going to give them a taste, a sense of what the ad copy is going to look like. But it also gives them, the ability to look and see whether, hey, are they offering promises that we can't keep? Are they using language that's not, correct for our industry, that sort of thing. Then we build out the shared negative keyword list, and also have the client, oftentimes have the client review this, but we'll always attach a basic shared negative keyword list or apply that to the campaigns, so we're eliminating all the, frees and cheaps and jobs and employment and stuff like that. And then we'll customize it to the individual client based on the keyword research that we do. We'll catch some additional negatives there. And that's, of course, something that gets built out over time as well. And then we send all that to the client. We'll request client approval, as I noted. Once all that happens, and that's a combination of an expert and an account manager working on this. Now, in this case, this is an internal project, which is why I feel free to share this on our channel, share this information freely. So we don't have an account manager as such on this campaign. So everything's going to be working with one expert. Mers is actually working on this one, who's our head of AdWords, works for me here at Inbound Revenue as our head of AdWords. The campaign build section, once again, you click there, all the subtasks come out, add the ad groups as SCAGs, add the shared negative keyword list. We typically use a shared budget to control costs because we may have multiple campaigns, or we may oftentimes we'll set up a desktop campaign and a mobile campaign because the devices operate so differently, and sometimes you end up just pausing in a device entirely, desktop or mobile. More often than not nowadays, if you have a preference between traffic to a desktop or mobile, you're often taking mobile. Add all the extensions, except the call extension that will come in later when we do phone call tracking. Set the URL tracking templates on search campaigns. Use the campaign settings from the campaign build spreadsheet, which will be another video. Do not enable the campaign, just get it all ready to go at that point. Now, we also have a task built around the landing page. In this case, there's some, speak with me about the landing page because I have some specific stuff I want done on that. But that typically, that's the cool thing. This is a template, so it can be edited to, whatever is appropriate for that particular client. But in the landing page, we're going to add the conversion tracking code. We're going to add the emails from the campaign launch spreadsheet so that it goes to the correct, that all the leads get emailed to the correct person. We're going to make changes to the confirmation dialog box. And a lot of these things just come up over time. If you use Unbounce like we do, after a form is submitted, it goes to what they call confirmation dialog box. A little thank you page pops up, and then what would happen was that dialog box wouldn't always, or that confirmation page wouldn't always get customized. So we make sure that we customize that, drop the logo on there drop a custom thank you, maybe some marketing message on that confirmation dialog box. One of the beauties of having processes is that if you have any process, even if they're not great processes, they can always be improved once you have them, and then you have a place to go in and add them in there. So that was a cool little process improvement we made somewhere along the line. In this case, this next section talks about setting up conversion tracking. We are going to happen to use What Converts on this particular campaign. It's a new solution that we're testing out that does both call tracking, lead tracking from forms, and it will also track conversions from chats. So here we're adding the conversion code from AdWords, creating a dynamic number pool. Typically we use 2 numbers. You might use 4. We name that number pool, AdWords campaigns. We create a local number for the Google AdWords call extension that will be set as the call extension. That way that call extension will also be tracked and recorded in our call tracking solution. We'll integrate that. We'll integrate the call tracking solution with the client's AdWords account, so those conversions are tracked. So we've used PhoneWagon in the past. We'll make sure that PhoneWagon conversions show up in the account. We'll create a separate separate conversion in the Google Ads account called landing page lead, and that's for anyone that fills out that form. So we're going to know when we look in the Google AdWords account when a conversion occurs. Was it a call? Was it a form submission? That sort of thing. We're going to test the landing page to make the phone number swapping works. If you have any errors in your HTML or any errors in your code or any errors in your setup, the tracking numbers won't swap correctly on the landing page. So this is just another step we've set up to avoid that problem happening. We'll add the Google AdWords code to the landing page so the call extension number is approved. If Google sees that your call extension is not the number on your website or landing page, they'll often disapprove that. So you have to add some additional code on there as a second level of approval. And that way your call extension doesn't get disapproved by Google Ads. And then we'll integrate either WordPress plugin or a CNAME if we're using a subdomain. If we're using WordPress, most often we'll use a plugin with WordPress to integrate the landing page. If they're not using WordPress, then we often use a subdomain or what's called a CNAME record. So it becomes services dot, customer's website, etc. And then we have a campaign launch. So prior to launching the campaign, and again, this is customized, confirm with me, that doesn't happen on every account, trust me, or they'd never get launched. But on this, we do a pre-launch checklist. Verify the shared budget, hugely important, because obviously you don't want to overspend the client's budget, even though Google Ads will, whether you want them to or not. We verify the accuracy of the extensions. We verify that the landing page link is correctly added to the campaigns, because sometimes you don't have that landing page till later. You don't have the URL till later. So maybe use the client's website while you're building out the campaigns. Verify that's correct. Verify they've got a negative keyword list. If relevant, do we pause the old campaigns that are running before we launch ours? Check the email integration on Unbounce. Make sure Sunny Reports is scheduled. Make sure PhoneWagon has access. The client has access to PhoneWagon. Update the launch date column in the new business sheet so that we know what the launch date was, so we can track that from the time the client first paid to the time we launch to make sure we're staying on track. So all those are things that go into the pre-launch checklist. And then we have a post-launch checklist. Also, we'll do it 24 to 72 hours after launch to make sure that everything is, there's no disapproved ads. There's no major issues going on with the account. So these are the types of questions that we look at. Are we spending the budget? That sort of thing. And then we have weekly optimizations, which we'll schedule post-launch. So that's pretty much everything that we do in the launch of a new campaign. And you can see it's quite extensive. We're very process-driven, and we'll continue to update this and add new steps as it makes sense. Thanks for listening today. Really appreciate it. Once again, this is Mark Kelly with Inbound Revenue. The next time I put together a video, it's going to be talking about that launch spreadsheet that we use. Hopefully that's helpful. That launch spreadsheet is where we keep track of the keyword research, negative keywords, and the sample ad copy that we use, as well as the extensions. Okay, folks, well, that's enough Google Ads goodness for one day. I'm Mark Kelly with Inbound Revenue. If you need any white label PPC for your agency, reach out, inboundrevenue.com. Otherwise, have a fantastic day.